You and I both were at the Notre Dame Pro Day. So before we get into Big Ten country, any takeaways on kind of the state of Notre Dame? Like, we had some conversations with the coaches. We got to spend some time. Chris Ash, who we both know, back in college, now the new defensive coordinator. Any like big picture takeaways from our visit to South Bend?
Yeah, I mean, I think after winning a championship, it's always or playing for a championship in their case, but having that stretch of the long season and all the success that they had, I feel like things are tough because it impacts the offseason, but it impacts the mentality of the team a little bit. Nobody wants to admit that, but it does. But I think that they've done a good job of getting back to that workman-like mentality, which is again tough with the quick turnaround. They're losing a lot of veterans, and so Marcus Freeman, I think part of the challenge for him this offseason into the summer is really figuring out who his guys are going to be because they had a strong group last year. But I do think their roster's in a good spot. A lot of players that I think can be super impactful, and their coaching staff is also in a great spot. Mike Denbrock, very familiar now with that program and what he wants to do offensively, and maybe it can evolve a little bit with the quarterback battle that's going on. And then, as you mentioned, you and I both know Chris Ash, but his job is not to change anything necessarily. It's just to enhance what they've been doing on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that he can add that to them. So for as crazy of a year as it was last year and all the challenges that you deal with in an offseason like theirs, I do think that they're in a good spot. Now, the big issue looking ahead, that schedule is rough to start the year.
Early.
So they've got to figure these things out, the leadership and the rotations and who's going to be their guy. Like, they got to figure all those things out pretty early, but I do think they're in position to have it all figured out by the time the season starts.
Right. It's a good question. I mean, the big question is going to be the quarterback battle, CJ Carr, Steve Angeli, the presumed battle between the two of them. And then also, as you mentioned, Chris Ash, he talked to us about some of the zone coverages and some of the specific areas where obviously Notre Dame's a man defense primarily, but against some of the best teams that present individual challenges, that's where you'll probably see the Chris Ash imprint. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun time to see Notre Dame, like you said, really challenged right out of the gate. We'll obviously talk a lot more about them as we get deeper into the off season. But it was fun to get there, fun to see. And as you mentioned, coming off a championship appearance, the way that they've tinkered with their spring and let guys who had a lot of reps kind of rest a little bit more or spend more time in strength conditioning. Very interesting because